Hello, and welcome to One Voice Live, where we talk about One Voice, what it is, and how it fits into the world of singing. I am your host, Alexito. Today is part 4 of our series on how to build a voice practice, and we'll be talking about phase 3, the workout phase of the One Voice vocal workflow. And to discuss this with me today is creator of One Voice, Michael Maresca.
Woo! Super excited to be here.
Michael,
Yeah.
it's the last one.
That's wild. That's wild. This has been truly a lovely series to share with the world.
I personally have learned so much, even as a One Voice
Yeah.
coach, about the One Voice vocal workflow. And it's been great. It's been super helpful to help me implement it with my students as well as myself. So I'm super pumped.
I totally agree. It for me is the same. Any time going through this, or part of our One Voice world part of our philosophy is to continue to ask questions and practice curiosity. And for me, it's been more, asking more questions. When you externalize something and you put it out, and then you hear it again, and you're like, oh, that's interesting, and I'm gonna play with that. I'm gonna test that a little bit more. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, what's this? And so it's been a really excellent process for me as well. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, great. So Michael, today we're diving into workout phase, the big kahuna.
Yeah.
Take us away.
Here it goes. I'm very excited. Here we go. Workout phase 3. Okay, so we've talked about phase 1, which is the goal is the relaxation. We've talked about phase 2, which is the prep, right? We talked about that as being essential to the success of the One Voice vocal workflow. We've talked about phase 4 when we talked about phase 1, because the goal is about relaxation, bringing your voice back to a neutral place. And today we're going to talk about phase 3, the workout. So if the prep phase is essential to the success of the One Voice vocal workflow, then the workout phase 3 of the vocal workflow, is what actually brings the results and the ultimate vocal control that most of us are looking for. So I'm really excited to share with you guys more about that and some ideas and ways to structure that. So first, let's talk about the goal. The goal of the workout phase is to either exhaust your voice or to maintain it. Exhaust or maintain. So it's exactly what it sounds like. To exhaust, you will sing to the point of exhaustion. When people wonder, well, what's the line? How do I know? When am I okay? When am I not okay? Well, there's a big difference between exhaustion and fatigue versus damage. Exhaustion and fatigue, what you'll find is your voice will be tight, exhausted. You won't have any more energy to sing. And if you have that tension and those things, after you do your 4th phase, bring your voice back down and releasing and relaxing again, you should have your voice normal, everything come back between 15 to 20 minutes, if not right immediately after your phase 4 to relax. Maintain that type of workout is about simply maintaining your voice, meaning let's say you're in a show and you're doing Rent. And what you need is you just need to maintain your classical stuff. You want to check in and sing some of your classical things. Great. The maintenance workout is much shorter generally, and the aim is not exhaustion. The aim is simply just to check in. I'm going to sing through one of my classical songs or an aria that I do, just to check out and see where my voice is and what it's doing. So that's a maintenance workout. That's the goal. Overall goal of the workout phase is either to exhaust or to maintain. Now, next question becomes, what do I do? What do you do? What actually happens in a workout? What you're going to do in a workout is you'll either sing songs from a specific genre, sing through a set of songs to work through, a certain kind of facet with your voice, or technical aspects for weight and volume, etc. But it's not going to really be a space or a time where you're working through scales. As you know, I'm not hugely fond of exercises as being the king of everything, because I don't think they are. It only matters how you do the scale. The scale itself is really not as important as how you sing it. So why not just sing the scales of melody in songs, if you will? That way your brain starts getting used to doing that. So I would save a scale or an exercise scale that focuses on a specific facet of your voice or something you're trying to build, like weight, volume, smoothness, etc. I would save that for the prep. So in the prep, I would do that to prepare my voice for what it's about to do in the workout, and then I would execute that particular skill set or technical skill over and over and over in the songs that I'm singing in my workout. So those are the kinds of things you will do in the workout. The question really becomes, what what is a workout? And we kind of get this asked often of us, what is a workout? And workouts can be a dedicated practice time. They could be a show, a gig, a recording session, a choir concert. They could be a recital or a rehearsal. All of those are workouts because they generally push you to a level of exhaustion or past a level of easy use. They push your voice. They often stress you in some way, and so that's why those are considered to be workouts. What we consider to be workouts. And I want to make an important side note about this, about the difference between focused versus casual time. You'll notice that one of the first things I said that a workout could be is a dedicated practice time. Excuse me. There's a big difference between focused and casual work. One of the things that we do is we all have casual singing. You sing in the shower. I sing when I'm at the grocery store to myself to impress people around me that are 6 feet away from me. You know, whatever it is that you do, you sing when you get up. That is all just casual singing. It's not focused. It has no real intent, and therefore it's just kind of lackadaisical. That is one kind of singing that I would not consider part of your workout. I would make your workout focused, dedicated practice time. It's important that you have that so you can really work on achieving specific goals. Cool. Now let's talk about how long. How long is really going to depend on the type of workout. So people say, well, should I work out for 30 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes? It all depends on what you're trying to achieve. So for example, let's say that I'm working on building heavyweight and middle coordination. Well, if I'm working on building heavyweight and middle coordination, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set that system up in my prep, and then I'm going to work it out while I'm in my workout phase. Now, let's say that my aim is to fatigue myself, or rather to exhaust myself. What I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up working until exhaustion, which if I've just started working on heavyweight in middle, or I haven't been working out for a little while, I've been out of practice, then I might poop out in 20 minutes. But if I'm in shape, then that means I've probably built some endurance and some stamina. I can probably go 45 minutes to an hour, maybe an hour and a half. It just depends on where you are. And so that workout can really go much longer. Let's say that you're putting on a cabaret yourself, a show yourself. Well, that set, your whole set or show is going to run you 45 minutes. Well, you should probably at least be able to sing 45 minutes clear and easy, no problem. And what you'll find is once you pass that time limit, your endurance and stamina will start to drop. That's how you know you're nearing the end of your workout. In terms of a maintenance workout, again, the goal is not to exhaust yourself. It's simply to check in with stuff that you were doing before. Your classical aria, your pop song with all the riffs, your R&B song, whatever it is, checking in with that to simply sing through it once, maybe twice. That's it. So those workouts generally last somewhere between 15 to 30 minutes, around there. Much, much less and far less strain. Strain, I guess, is not a great word for most people, but strain or stress on the body and the voice. You're not pushing it so hard to the point of exhaustion. But that's what you're kind of looking at. I would say to limit yourself overall to no more than 2 to 3 hours of continuous singing. Just in general, I would say that's not great. Now, people are like, but I have a 6-hour vocal rehearsal. Okay, you do. It's unlikely that you're singing continuously for 6 hours. It's more likely that you sing, some other part of the choir sings, then you sing again. It's likely that you're not singing continuously that entire time. But if you are, I would try and aim to limit that for 2 to 3 hours in total. That's a lot on the voice. I would say that anything over 45 minutes of continuous singing, or I would say anything over 30 minutes probably of continuous singing, becomes an exhaustion workout, depending 30 to 45 minutes, depending on your endurance and stamina. Great. I think that should answer how long. I hope I'm not missing any there, but please pop in, Alex, if this seems like there's something that, I'm
Yeah.
missing. That'd be helpful.
Question. So
Yeah.
let's say I have a new student who's building heavyweight for the very first time, and I've given them weight scales and maybe a song to try and build their heavyweight during. Does that
Yeah.
automatically become an exhaustion workout because they're going to get exhausted because it's new, or because it doesn't feel like a maintenance workout? So it's
Yeah, you're right on.
okay.
It just pushes straight into an exhaustion workout because they're now they're now pooping themselves out, for lack of a better word, right?
Got it.
You just get wiped out. That's a great question. Yeah, and even though it may only last, 20 minutes,
Mhm.
maybe, like if you're lucky and you have that much endurance when you're just starting out, it's likely that you don't. So you'll just poop out. And a lot of you know what I'm talking about. You had songs that you sang so well and so easily when you were doing the show or when you were recording the album. Now you go back and you go to sing it like, oh, my voice just isn't the same. This just isn't the same. Well, it's not that it's not the same. It's just that you've lost endurance and stamina because you're out of shape. And just like everything else in the body, um, you have to get it back into shape. So that's something that you'll experience. That's a great. Thanks for that clarification. Um, I want to talk about now. Switch gears, and I want to talk about how often. We talked about how long the actual workout should be, but I want to talk about how often you should do it. So for an exhaustion workout, we recommend that you do give yourself a day in between exhaustion workouts. Don't do an exhaustion workout, butt it up against another exhaustion workout, or butt it up against another one. You will wipe yourself out and you'll run your voice ragged. And you don't want to do that because it's not fun. And really, an exhaustion workout is stress on the body and the voice, and it needs time to recuperate. And so allowing yourself that rest time is always great. A maintenance workout you could do 6 times a week if you wanted to. If you're just starting out trying to build a voice practice, I would say do lots of little maintenance workouts just to get yourself into it. Because for a lot of people, an exhaustion workout not only takes time, but it takes a lot of energy. And if you're not someone who already has a strong practice, doing something that's hard and work is less fun. But it's like people who've been working out at the gym for a while, or they have that going. Once that's going in you, then you're up for it. You're up for the challenge. You're excited about it. But when you're just starting out, you're like, no.
Mhm.
It's kind of like people who started off doing P90X, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna do P90X. I'm ready. It was a back like what was it? Gosh, like 10 years ago. It was this big deal,
Yeah.
and everyone was doing it and like getting going. And then what you probably recognize if you ever did it or you ever did any of these programs is you probably started and you'd like started thinking like, yeah, you're going, you're doing your thing, feeling really good. And then you're like, whew, man, that is just wiping me out. And like, all right, cool, done with the warm up, let's go. And you're like, what? No, no, right? You're already passing out.
Mhm.
That's like a tap out moment for so many people. So I would recommend that you start off with maintenance workouts. And again, like I said, those can happen, back to back because there's not a lot of stress on the voice.
Mhm.
This is where I want to emphasize that more is not better. Let me say it again: more is not better. The thinking is for a lot of us is that, well, what is something I can do every day to become amazing, right? And it's not necessarily about doing something every day. It's about being smarter. It's about working the technical aspects of your voice. So just because you're going to work on your voice every day doesn't necessarily mean that your voice is going to get much better, or you're suddenly going to be able to sustain heavy weight throughout middle. That's not what it's going to be like. It's kind of the idea of 10,000 hours. If I just put 10,000 hours in, I'm going to get it. But that's not really the concept. It's about putting 10,000 hours in of curiosity, of continuing to learn, of problem solving. There's a lot more that goes into it. And so when you are working on something that's new, the worst thing you can do for your voice, because most of us are trying to build things who are in the world of one voice because we're curious. We're trying to build and achieve things that perhaps we haven't had before. And so, because of that, what ends up happening is that we need creative mental power or energy in order to problem solve those things. What happens for a lot of people is they say, no, I'm gonna work harder. And so they work hard, and they just drive it into the ground. But what happens is that now we've lost the space for creativity and problem solving. And so the brain needs that in the moment to continue to keep questioning, keep asking, well, that's interesting. What about this? What about this? But if you're tired and exhausted and you're saying, just work harder, then you've run your voice ragged and your mind ragged. Now there's no more space for creativity. Now it's just do it no matter what. But there's no creativity there. It moves into a different part of the brain that just does. And you don't need to just do. You need to start thinking. You need to start being able to strategize and be curious and have open space for your mind to be creative about how it finds solutions to creating the sounds you already know intellectually how to make and how to do them. But then how do I get my body to follow suit?
So, what do you recommend? Because so many one voicers are not only just like students in college, but working actors, waiting tables, juggling a ton of jobs in a busy schedule. What would you say to someone who's like, I'm tired all the time? Like, how do I find, what do you recommend for, do you recommend fewer workouts at more optimal times? What's your advice on that?
I think you nailed it on the head. I think it's finding the times that we're at our best. If there's something that you do that you can do well and is easy for you, it doesn't take a lot of brain capacity. For example, let's say you're a waiter, or you work a retail job. Eventually, after the first couple weeks, you start to know the menu pretty well. You start to know what you sell in the store pretty well. That it doesn't really take a lot of creativity or mental energy to figure out what you're going to do or how you go to work. So what a lot of people do is they say, "Well, I'm going to go to work, and then when I get home, that's when I'm going to do it." The problem is that now you've depleted all of your energy. So the best thing you can do for yourself is actually set or take the time before you go into an exhaustive thing like work
Mhm.
and do this thing then. If you find that you're just exhausted because maybe you're in a situation where you're having to work really long hours or multiple jobs, the game is just about sustaining practice then. Then it just means, you know what? Sing a song today. That's it. Just sing a song. It's easy. Sing a song. If you are someone who uses their voice all day, that's a different story. Maybe just do a maintenance workout, something simple, easy, sing through a song or two. That's it. And then go into work. If you're someone who works at a retail store that's got a lot going on, or you're a waiter or you're a bartender, those are or a salesperson. Those are intense vocal jobs that you're talking. Which let me be clear, people. There is no difference between singing and talking. They are both sound making. So just because you're talking doesn't mean you're giving your voice a rest, and that when you're singing now it's really hard. It's not. The only difference is that with singing we tend to sing louder for continuous moments versus speech. In most cases, people aren't talking that loud. But in singing, we tend to just go a little bit louder, which is why it exhausts people a little quicker sometimes. But make no mistake, you're not resting. And so I think that's an important thing to understand. So yeah, I think put yourself in the most optimal position for success. Give your brain and your body the time where you are the most fresh. Which for a lot of us, we would think, well, I'll be most fresh when I'm done with work. But if you go to work from, let's say, I don't know, 10 to 6, right? Or you have a night job or something like that, you might find that your body and brain are best after you've had rest, which is generally in the mornings. So once you're getting going and you're moving along and doing your thing, then put in that work. Some people might even want to consider shifting their schedules. You might be a person who has a very early work schedule. Maybe you work at 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. or something like that. Start finding where the sweet spot is for you. Maybe it's going to bed. Maybe it's coming home, taking a nap, and then eating something and then hitting your workout. Some way to kind of revive yourself. If not that, then it's shifting your schedule to going to sleep way earlier and waking up much earlier.
Mhm. Cool.
So yeah, I would say that's probably the best way to do it. But start small. If you're overwhelmed, you're tired already in life, and you're just trying to fit in one more thing, make it easy on yourself. Make it real simple. It's a huge win if you just sang up for a minute and a half on a day like that.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people overstress themselves and say, I've got to get, I have to do it. I mean, I'm gonna. And again, you're starting to put your brain into that hole of saying must do, must do, must do, and now you're exhausted and you have no more energy. And so what ends up happening is you just get more frustrated with yourself, not only on a vocal standpoint because you can't seem to figure things out, It's also because you have no mental energy to be creative or to strategize, but also because now you've made a commitment to yourself that you're failing at.
Hmm.
And that goes deeper than just the practice. That makes you start to feel like a failure, which, as you can probably imagine, doesn't help
Hmm.
your practice. So take it easy on yourself.
I think that's a great thing to point out is throughout this whole series, which I highly recommend if you haven't seen parts 1 through 3, there's so much information there. Uh, we are talking about the most optimal way to work out and to get your voice where you want to go. But just like you said, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Like show up and do what you can, even if it's not every single thing we're saying to a T. Do what you can.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's awesome. Yeah, shame, no shame, shameless. Um, that's beautiful. Cool. Okay, so that brings us then to what do I do after? And I hope this is clear by now, but once you're done with your workout, you will have tension. And tension, again, is not a bad thing. It's just knowing which tensions are necessary and which are not. So recognize that you will have tension. The goal is to have something that allows you, or rather, I should say, um, uh, a, a, a well-built system will take care of you. And that's why this whole workflow as a whole is really important to go from start to finish. Because when I start, I'm starting with relaxation and releasing everything, bringing my body and voice to a neutral position. Prep, I'm starting to get everything going, turn on all the systems. The workout, I really work it. And then I move into, again, a relaxation phase where I'm bringing everything back into neutral, phase 4. And this is what follows the workout. Once I'm done with my workout, my goal now is just to release everything that I just took on. What we could all pretend and say is pretend that, yes, when you sing, you should never feel anything and everything should be effortless and free and great, but it just doesn't make any sense. And so I want to give you the freedom and permission to know that you will get tight. You will have tension in your jaw. You'll have tightness around your throat. You'll have tightness in your throat, tightness in your mouth, tightness from your shoulders, in your neck, and your rib cage, and maybe your legs, and maybe your left wrist. I don't know. Depending on what weird things your body is doing to try and figure stuff out, you're going to incur a lot of weird tensions. And the goal is, again, just to release all those. So that's what you do after or following your workout, post workout. Um, there is one thing that I wanted to add to this that I thought might be helpful for everybody as you guys are considering putting together, or as you're putting together all of this, and make this part of your strategic work. It's something that I just recently kind of came up with in a session. It was really awesome. It's what I'm calling workout genres. And I think this is really helpful. So, like a workout genre is simply something for you. They aren't like specific genres that we have like labeled for one voice, but it's a genre for you. So, let's say that you're working on heavyweight and middle, or maybe heavyweight and head coordination. Okay, well, have a workout genre that is your heavyweight genre, and put all the songs that work heavyweight in there.
Mm.
So that when you do your heavyweight, I'm sorry, when you do your heavyweight workout genre, and that happens every Tuesday and Thursday, you already have a set list of songs that you're going to sing and work with. And it's something that you get to look forward to. Oh my gosh, I love singing that song. Oh man, this one's going to wipe me out. Woo, let's go, right? And you get excited. That's really fun. You may have something that is a vibrato genre, or maybe you have I'm working on lightweight loud, or my lightweight with a large vocal track for my classical stuff genre. Okay, what are all the things that can go in there? And what the genres are for is taking all the songs that you have and or would like to learn and putting them into those buckets, so that when you go to work those in a particular workout, you have everything already set up for you. It's a fun way to think about it. And it's also, you might even, for some of you, you might enjoy thinking about it via styles. Maybe there's a genre, a style genre you want to go after. Today I want to go after my R&B. Yeah, here's my R&B thing. Or here's my contemporary musical theater. Or here's my classic musical theater, traditional musical theater. Just a fun way to kind of plan ahead and strategize.
That's awesome.
And then, isn't that fun? Yeah, it's really fun. I don't know why that excited me so much. And the person I was working with, when we were talking about it, we were like, this is so fun.
Like
And it is.
that's
It's
so much
just great.
the prep work. It's more
Yeah.
prep work in the beginning and then none when you get to it. You're just like, oh, this is what I do. This is my playlist. Great, let's go.
I was just thinking about this literally today, earlier today. I was in a meditation moment, and something popped in my head, and I thought, wow, it's so interesting the way our minds work with these things, particularly with our practice. is that much like a video game actually, and I think this is why a lot of people love just kind of sitting down and just playing. And I know it's one of the reasons I enjoy playing a video game. I want to sit down and just like go. And why that's cool is that there may be some strategy while I'm in there, like figuring out a puzzle to jump over, to get over this level or to do something like that. But I think why it's so exciting is because the strategy is already planned out for me. All I'm doing is just getting on the train for that strategy, for that adventure. The adventure is to save, the person who was stowed away in the castle. Okay, fantastic. Wherever I left off yesterday, I'm going to get back in, and guess what I'm doing today? Today I'm working on saving the person from the castle,
Mm.
which is the same thing I was doing yesterday. So there's no thinking for me, right? I don't have to strategize about, well, where do I? No, I just get into the game and I go and I play. And there's something really delightful and freeing about that. And I think the more that we can set that up in our practice, where we do that strategic work ahead of time, man, it just makes it something fun, delightful, enjoyable, and it's also a time to reflect. So maybe what you do, I'm going to share something with you all that a client that I was working with just shared with me, which is beautiful. This person had Monday through Saturday. Monday was strategy day. I think it was like wine and strategy is what it was, which is great. So they sit down, have a wine. Maybe for you it's your tea. Maybe it's someone like me. I like my chocolate oat milk. Sit down and have my little chocolate oat milk, and I'm gonna make a delightful time where I'm gonna strategize what I'm gonna do that week. And I just lay it all out. And maybe it's also a time of review, time of reflection. How did my practice go last week? How do I feel about my voice? How am I feeling? What things have I succeeded at? Hey, good for me. That's awesome. Wow, this week I'm going to do that again. Let's see how much further I can go.
Mm.
So that was a really beautiful thing. And then this person took different genres, different workout genres, and placed them on different days. Because there were some genres they were really excited about, and there's other genres they were less excited about. So they did less of those and more of the ones they really loved, just to get this whole practice moving. So really, really fun and exciting. The last thing I want to comment on is working out when you are either sick or dealing with allergies. Let me talk about allergies first. If you are looking to work out and you've got some allergies going on and you're sniffling and your voice feels really kind of crunchy and it's harder to sing things than normal and your pitch accuracy is a little off, you should really take it easy. And if you're someone who deals with a lot of allergies consistently and they are constantly acting up and you're always dealing with a runny nose or post-nasal drip or anything like that, for you should probably not do exhaustion workouts very often, maybe once a week, maybe. I would say that until you get that under control, under a manageable state, if you're someone who does intensive like vocal stuff, meaning like you do this as a profession or you do this in school or this is something you're building an album or something like that, or you do gigging, I would recommend that you sing probably no more than 20 to 30 minutes a day, maybe a little bit more. If you're going further on that, and this is why. What happens is when you have your allergies, and for those of you who have pretty rough allergies that cause a lot of phlegm, they also cause a lot of irritation and inflammation throughout the respiratory system, which part of that includes the larynx and the vocal cords. What you're doing is you already have tissues that are swollen and irritated. And then what you're doing is when you're singing, more than likely singing loudly, you're going to have those tissues hitting together and they're going to swell more. What can happen as a result of that, if you do that repeatedly over a long period of time, even if your production is excellent, you run the risk of beginning something like pre-nodules or getting nodules or things like that. Excuse me. Again, even if your technical ability is excellent, what you're doing is you're using your voice while the tissues are already irritated and under siege, if you will. So it's something that I've had to deal with people, and I was blindsided by it. I really was. We talked about this a little bit in dealing with damage series. It was amazing. I had this person who was just fantastic, the best vocals they'd had ever, like their balance, their clarity, their ease, like all of it was just amazing. And they happened to be sick for like 6 months, just on and off, and mildly. It wasn't like overtly like, woof, I'm out. It was just mild stuff. And then I've had another person who just had allergies, and they're just always, it's constant, And And so they started to develop a pre-nodule, which was kind of blowing our minds because for them, it was the best thing they'd ever done. They felt fantastic. But these are people who really use their voices a lot. And what was a huge learn there was learning and understanding that those were the things that needed to get for us to get under control, but really get them under control. And so that's word for the wise out there with allergies. If you're sick and you have swelling, it's difficult for you to sing, and it's harder than normal to make sound and pitches like that, ask yourself if it's even worth it. Do you really need to do it? And if so, limit yourself to as little as you can. Get the rest. Your tissues need rest. And then once you're done and you're well, then you can hit it hard again. But you need to make sure that you are healthy and all the tissues are happy and healthy again before you begin. And we'll probably talk more to that, and you can review the dealing with damage episode that we did. But yeah, that's it. I think that is all about the workout phase and everything I want to share with you all on that. Alex, am I missing anything? Is there anything that stuck out to you that I should clarify or anything like that?
I think it's awesome and super simple. We'll be doing a show. We don't have it scheduled yet, but we've talked about doing a show about self-diagnosing, which will help a lot for the workout phase in the future. Meaning when you're there and you're like, oh, I keep cracking here, or this keeps going to light, things you can do, and how the process you can go through mentally to figure out, okay, how can I adjust this? So that's something to look forward to. As far as people who are watching this and want to jump into their first vocal workout, what do you think, and they're maybe overwhelmed with all the information, what do you think is a good place to start for them?
I think the best place to start is with strategy. Get some wine, get some hot chocolate, get some orange juice, whatever you prefer, tea, and have a sit down, maybe light a candle, just set up something lovely, lay out your week and say, what am I going to do this week? What do I want to do? I want to work on these kinds of songs. Great. All right, here we go. And then do it. Make yourself do it. If you find that you're a person that fails at doing those things, you can set it up, but then it just never takes off. Make yourself accountable to someone. You can call a friend. You can call anyone and just say, hey, I am going to text you every day after I've done this thing. That's it. Would you just mind receiving? You don't have to respond. I'm just going to text you. So would you mind just being cool receiving that? Yeah, because look, it's no sweat off their back. All they have to say is just yes, and that they're not going to respond. But for you, it puts a little mental tickle in the back of your brain of letting someone down or not following through. And I think that can be really helpful. But I think now is just start small. Start small. Make it easy on yourself. Just enjoy.
Love it. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you nailed it, Michael.
Woo! Fun times. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, great. So yes, now we have the entire vocal workflow, phases 1 through 4, all set up and here for your viewing pleasure. So next week, I am interviewing Trevor Berger, one voicer and incredibly skilled singer, an awesome person. And we're going to be talking about specifically his workout phase of the one voice vocal workflow and just his vocal practice in general to see what we can learn from him. So we'll see you next week, Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. CT. And thank you guys so much for watching. And Michael, thank you so much.
Thanks.